be a part of this podcast. So today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Portland snowstorm that happened about 2.5 weeks ago that left hundreds of thousands of people without power. And we want to kind of talk about the disability side of it as far as what it was like for people that lost power, and just kind of like the disability view of that, being without power for so many days on end. So introduce everybody. So I am Ryan, where I can do it online. And John, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm John. I have many names online.
All right, and Wada. Okay, we'll have to come back to Wada. I didn't hear. It looks like he was muted. We'll go over to Franklin. All right, Franklin. Franklin? Okay, well, as you can see, we are still having technical difficulties.
No, I think I'm the.
There we go.
Cutouts.
There we go. We got you guys both. All right, Wada, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I wasn't muted.
This is Wada. Go, Wada, go.
This is Wada Sufan. I'm a paraplegic, use a manual chair.
All right, Franklin. Franklin.
I'm Franklin Uchida, and I use a power chair and a manual chair and stair lift, electric bed. I use a CPAP machine, which didn't work. And I use lots of electrical things.
All right, well, let's go ahead, and I guess we'll jump right into that. Go. So,
happy to be here.
Well, I'm glad to have everyone on. Thank you for being here. It's a little late in the afternoon for everybody, so thanks everyone for being here. Let's kind of get into it. So, what was kind of everyone's first thought about when the power went out? Did everyone think it was going to be out for 3 to 5 days, or was everyone just thinking, it's just going to be a quick little power out? So let's just kind of go down the line here. So we'll start with John.
Well, when it all started, I don't even remember what day it was now. I think it was Wednesday evening when the rain started. And, I'm pretty fortunate because I live on the same property as my parents. So when it started raining, I was actually getting ready to live stream video game, and I got a knock on my door saying that the deck was already pure sheet of ice, and they thought I better come in their house because they thought the power might go out. So I went in there, like I said, I think it was Wednesday night, but then it ended up being that we had power all the way to Friday when the real storm hit. So I could have stayed in my own house 2 extra days, but it was just easier because they have a wood stove and I could stay warm and be comfortable. So, and nobody had to walk out to help me do anything. So.
Yeah, that's fortunate to be able to have, I guess, everyone right then and there in that spot to not have to worry about the when the power does go out. So what about for you, Wada? I know that we talked kind of early on after the storm that you, like me, lost power, but for a very short, maybe for like an hour or two.
Well, for me, I don't think I lost the power at all, and I'm so lucky. I can imagine, in that cold weather, losing the power and losing the heat, you're freezing inside. I haven't had that experience yet, but I know some of you guys have that experience. But it's going to be awful to be out of power, out of heat. For people who are in a wheelchair and they need a breathing machine, as the power is down, it's going to be really devastating for them.
Yeah, no, for sure. And what about you, Franklin? I know you were out, I think, just as long as John. It was at least 7+ days. Is that correct? Somewhere around there?
3 days. No, we were only about 3 days out.
3 days?
We got
okay.
our power back pretty early. But I was out with power, yeah. But I was out of power for, 3 days. It happened early in the morning for us, like 9 o'clock. And the power went out and never came back for the 3 days, not even one little blip. And then our neighbors helped out a lot, other than that. Because I have no other alternative heat source other than a propane. I have a little propane heater, and that's how we were able to keep warm after a while. But I use a power stair lift to get up and down because I live on a second story. So I have to transfer onto the stair lift and go up and down. And the stair lift is said to go up and down 8 times with no power. I mean, because of the battery reserve. After that, you're out of luck. So I was kind of wondering how many. So I had to be very sparingly to go downstairs and go outside or go anywhere. But I also use a CPAP machine, which wouldn't work. It would run. I could run 2 batteries and it would run all night long, but that's only one night, and then wouldn't have enough time to charge up 2 big 12-volt batteries for 3 days. I also have a power bed that I use to transfer into it and then lift it up.
And was none of that stuff working at all, like
Internet.
during that time for you at all? Was none of that stuff like the bed? So you weren't really able to get into bed, and you're kind of stuck more in your bedroom and stuff because of the power being out?
Was working at all. So, and then I have one that has good batteries in it, one that has kind of so-so batteries. Yeah, they were still powered up, and so I was able to use them if I needed to get outside. But our tree fell down in front. I had a tulip tree, and it split in 4 pieces, and so we're a little worried about the tree. Our neighbors were lucky, and they came over and cut it out because it covered the road. Right, this tulip tree just split in 4 pieces.
Yeah, I think a lot of people lost tons of trees during the storm. I mean, we had like
food and also
it was like 2 inches or almost 1.5 inches thick of ice around all the trees, especially like certain areas. I know not all the areas. I know Portland got more snow, but out where you guys lived, it definitely had a lot more of the thicker ice that brought down power lines.
For me, my fence went down.
Tulip tree already had buds on it, so those buds.
Regular, your audio is cutting it out a little bit, but we still got you.
Or the fence just falling. Oh.
Maybe just check to make sure you're still on the Wi-Fi. That's why it's cutting it out. John, were you going to say something about that? About trees? You're muted, John. Lots of technical difficulties on this stream. That's why it's our first live stream. So.
Yeah.
There we go.
Now he's unmuted.
Yeah, we had several large trees go down on the farm. My family's still cleaning up all the branches and limbs. We ended up, after the power went out, it was about 9:30 at night when it happened, so we all went to bed, nothing else to do. It was dark. But when you went to bed, you could hear trees in the distance just snapping from the weight of the ice. And then the wind would blow, and you'd hear another one snap. So when we woke up in the morning, we decided to drive to the end of the road, which is like half mile. And turns out one of our large trees in our horse pasture fell down across the road and took out the power line. And turns out there was people driving over the line. So we ended up having to re-pull the whole line about a quarter mile from the end of the road. So needless to say, we were one of the last ones to get power in our area.
And I know that you only had pretty limited source of heat too. It was only a fireplace, right? And I know that Franklin did not have any additional heat besides his little heat that he had.
The primary heating in my parents' house is a wood stove anyway. So we were we're used to dealing with firewood and making fires, which makes it nice because with the wood stove, you can also cook your food. And so we had quite a few leftovers, just started taking stuff out of the fridge because it was going to go bad and started making meals out of it. But we also have an RV and several generators, so we were safe. But it does make you wonder. We took one to our neighbor because she didn't have anything. And then she has a electric propane fireplace, but without the electric fan, the fireplace doesn't heat the house.
Yeah, it
So
kind of makes
Dad,
the fireplace kind of useless. If there's no power to power the fan for the fireplace, it's like you can't get the heat out of it.
so Dad took over our extra generator with the tractor and hooked her up to an extension cord. Then he would go over at 8:30 at night and shut it off and go back over in the morning, turn it back on. So, in a small town like mine, community is the biggest part of the whole thing. Like, I don't know if we're going to talk about it at any point, but the fires was another event that happened to us where the community basically came together and saved the town. So my small community is quite helpful when it comes to needs of others.
Yeah, that's definitely important when the power goes out. I mean, like Franklin, rely on a bed that's electric that sits up, moves, has a bed pump. And I was worried when the power went out. I'm like, if the power doesn't come back on, there's no way for me to be able to get back into bed and keep the bed inflated because it's an air mattress. So I had to kind of, currently I have it on a battery backup. So if the power does go out, on a battery backup, keeps things going for only about 10-15 minutes with the power being out. And I also use a breathing machine, and that's always been one of my fears is if the power ever goes out, my breathing machine does not have any battery backup whatsoever, and it has no alarm system whatsoever. So if I was sleeping and the power went out and I didn't have it connected to a battery backup, I would have no idea. I would sleep right through it and then stop breathing, and that would not be good. So I definitely am thankful for battery technology, and I think it's definitely was helpful for a lot of people. I do know another a friend of ours who literally used batteries and power inverters to keep heat in his house and to keep all of his stuff going as long as he could using batteries because he was out of electricity. I definitely think it kind of gave me a wake-up call, I guess, being thankful that my power was only out for an hour or two, but made me realize that if power was out for multiple days, I'm not properly set up to have everything I need as far as making sure that I can still, stay warm and be okay inside my own house. That even includes caregiving. I didn't have, caregivers were unable to get to me for 4 days because of the snow on the ice, after that. That was definitely another thing. Like, what do you do in that situation when you rely on caregivers and care and they're unable to show up due to the horrible weather, which is not their fault, but it was just some crazy circumstances for sure.
Well, I feel your concern really. I don't know if the insurance, and I bring that concern to the insurance, and to prepare before the storm, maybe have a caregiver stay with you, and they recover that, and maybe have a generator for it.
Yeah,
and the insurance will cover that.
Unfortunately, as far as like the insurance and the hours and anything like that, there's no. They don't ever pay for any like preventative, just in case things like you're saying, like have somebody come and stay. So basically, you're kind of up to friends and family at that point in time. That's kind of what they kind of say is figure it out, which is really not the right thing. But I wish there was a program out there though that would be available to people, especially even the elderly, that if the power does go out, they can bring them food, make sure they have everything that they need, because there's going to be times that like what's going on in Texas with how long the power was out there and people having to boil their water and all those kinds of things. I mean, I couldn't imagine us in that situation what we would do. I mean, being without power for even a week would not be something I think that would work for any of us.
Yes, what would be a great idea, Ryan, is to connect with people with wheelchairs who live in Texas and see their experience. That's really their input and how they manage themselves. That's really a great big deals for the disability community to manage during the ice break or ice.
And if there's anybody that is watching this that knows somebody with a disability in Texas and has gone through that situation, we would love to talk to them and have them on the show and do an interview with them. So please feel free to share our show with them so that way we can kind of get more people on here that maybe we can get those kind of experiences on here. You're going to say something, Franklin? I think his connection's
No.
delayed there.
I know. I better do that.
Oh, no. It didn't sound like I was going to. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a great idea, especially with as cold as it was there.
John, your mic is ready. Franklin.
I mean, even in my situation, thinking I was, covered and good to go with generators and motorhome and everything else, I didn't think of the little things, like I have an aquarium with goldfish in it. And when I went to my parents' house, I just left, because power was still on at that point. So I just drove to my mom and dad's house, and the next day I realized, my fish are tropical fish. They need a heater, and there's no way to get them a heater. So I had to get one of those jump boxes that you use for a car that had, it's got one 10 outlet in it. So I had to plug a power strip into the outlet, power strip into the outlet, and then all of my fish filter, my heater. I mean, I didn't even think of that till the second or third day. But
Did you lose any fish because of that?
awesome.
Sorry about your fish, John.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Well, what I think, is the government should be really make sure that all people with disabilities, they have the tools and the equipment they need to survive in this such horrible weather. Such like, everybody have his own house with a garage where you can have like a van with 4-wheel drives. In case of emergency, just hop in and go and, go to emergency rooms and a car that can manage the snow. But I know these policies need a lot of fights and advocacy. But it's possible, to push for it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's the possibility of there being government support as far as maybe giving people like that have, or even like state support, like with people with disabilities, to maybe give them vouchers to help them get generators and stuff like that. But there's just such a big cost with generators, because it's not just having the generator itself, but then if you want to connect it to the house, you got to have an electrician come out and do electrical work. So I think it's definitely possible, but I feel like that the government's got a lot of red tape on any of those type of programs that would be necessarily available. And I do know that there are places like kind of like what you described, where it's like one place they have a car available and stuff. That'd be maybe like a group home situation. They would probably definitely have like a car to get somebody somewhere if they needed to in an emergency, even no matter what the weather is. To have the ability to do that. But it'd be interesting for us to maybe, if anybody knows of any programs out there to do anything like that Walla described, having generators or the ability to help people out when they're in a situation like that. That would be very interesting for us to learn about.
I think having people with disabilities in the neighborhood and having names of people who are really using wheelchairs and they are disabled, to be a list to check up from first care worker, community health worker, in kind of this situation is just to act like that quick and go and check on the people with disability and see what they need, what they're missing, how they surviving, what barriers they have in. This is like, could somebody lose his life? It could be a devastating as well.
No, for sure. It's a serious thing, especially going without power and heat for days. That can be very dangerous. And then you run into issues like for Franklin, John, and me. Is this how would we, if it was if the power's out for more than 3 or 4 days, how do we charge our wheelchairs? I mean, unless we have a strong enough power inverter to stick inside of our car to run off a battery while the engine's running to charge the wheelchair. But I mean, I don't think we're going to want to hang out in our cars 8 hours for a wheelchair to charge. But I mean, it's in all seriousness, I don't know about you guys, but I mean, I'd have to get real creative with some battery packs and power inverters in order to charge a wheelchair. What about you guys? What would you guys think you guys would do to charge your wheelchair, John, Franklin?
I would probably, like I said, we have an RV, so it's got a generator, and we keep it full of fuel. But if I didn't have the RV, luckily my van is new enough that it has the 110 outlet built into it. So, like you said, I could go lay down and take a nap for a couple hours. Yeah, you're paying for gas while your vehicle's idling, but better than not being able to move.
That's it, John. Everybody with power wheelchair, they should have an RV. So,
What about you, Franklin? What would you try to do in that situation?
Tough, because 8 to 12 hours you'd have to leave that wheelchair plugged in. One thing, you need a generator to actually do it, because even your car, you'd have to run your car all day long. Basically, 12 hours. I don't know. Plus, those chargers take 8 amps, so I don't even know if those generators produce, the little car ones produce 8 amps. Do they? I don't think so.
I don't know.
Like again, you would need a generator.
I don't think I would wait for the chair to charge all the way, which probably isn't good for the batteries. But at this point, it's cold outside. I don't want to sit in the car, so the batteries
Exactly.
a month or two, so be it.
So, what's your guys' option about having the caregiver to be available?
You wouldn't get a full charge.
That's a great question, Wada. So basically, you're trying to say, like, when there's no caregiver available, what do we do? Yeah.
Yes.
Basically, really hope you have really good family and friends. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, and what anybody, unfortunately, at the state level would probably even tell you too. It's like, well, we don't have resources or things available for anything like that, so figure it out. And that includes even the, I know that even some of the caregivers I have are through an agency, and even they didn't have any backups or ability, because they were, unfortunately, since COVID happened, they lost about half of their workforce, so they didn't have backups even before a winter storm came through. And unfortunately, when it does snow here in the Portland metro area, when it does snow, things kind of shut down, which is it's a good thing for safety and keeping the roads clear, but it's also makes it that those that need care, that don't have people that they live with or family members that live by to get care, makes it really difficult.
I can see for able people to be able to manage and just hop in and walk in the street and go and manage their life. It's really it's very hard for people with mobility when they have no family members around. So what the option they have, what they can do. I think this is a question need to be raised and ask people who are in charge, people of health, to consider that questions. It's really important.
No, I think it's something that needs to be brought up and and talked about. And like I said, I really hope we can get somebody that knows somebody that's in Texas and went through that, so we can interview them and see what it was like, what they had to go through, what they had to do to figure out. Because unless they had good friends or family or neighbors that knew that they were there and by themselves to help out, I mean, you would really be but without that, I don't know what people would do, to be honest with you, Walt. I don't know.
Well, go ahead, John.
It's kind of funny. I mean, for the walking people of the world, I mean, even them, they have electric cars now. So when your power goes out, how do you charge your electric car? I mean, what happens there? I've seen a picture on the internet of an electric car alongside the road with a generator plugged into the side. So that kind of defeats the purpose of the electric car.
That's what happens when you get fancy with electric car. It's fun. I have 2 boys. I use a manual wheelchair.
Take it to a supercharger.
Yeah. So seeing my kids playing with the snow, I don't want to be part of it and enjoy them. But the snow is really prevent me from even having fun with my kids and play with the snow. And I like able bodies, go and enjoy it. So I think people simply are really limited to have fun, even when there's snow.
Yeah, no, for sure, definitely. Yeah, and did I know that Wada, you do drive. Did you drive at all during the snow at all? Did you have to go out and drive in that at all?
No, I stuck. I stayed home. My car is not a 4-wheel drive, and it's really hard to get in. Even to get into. I park my car outside the garage, and outside the garage is really there's a lot of snow. To get to the door of a car is really need to shuffle and move in. And then you have to open the car and move the snow out of the car. You need somebody to being in a wheelchair and a single dad with 2 little kids. It's really you need an assistant. You need some help. You need to go. Maybe if you run out of food, if there is an emergency, something happened to you, your kids something happened to the kids. It's really hard to navigate the help you need. Your options is limited at all.
Especially with snow on the ground, that really makes a whole nother level of difficulty. I mean, I know that with my power chair, it may be big power chair, and everyone thinks it goes right through the snow, but this wheelchair in the snow, it's worthless. It has zero traction. Can't go anything more than maybe an inch of snow before it gets stuck. So definitely try to avoid venturing out when it's snowy weather. What about you, John or Franklin? Do you guys go out and venture out in that snow at all?
I was just looking out the back patio window for 4 days, stuck to the wood stove. I mean, but in reading...
I was thinking it'd be fun to take our soccer chairs out there, though.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Out there, some donuts. That'd be great.
In reading on the internet through the whole thing, I was a little bit disappointed in the community because they were... Not only were they complaining that, we don't have power for 24 hours or whatever. Well, you got to understand there's 300,000 people without power. It's not just you. And even once they got the power going, people were complaining that the snowplows were going through the neighborhood. Well, how do you want the snow to go away you can get out and shovel, but we live in Oregon, we don't get snow very often. Do you even have a shovel? To me, that was just, how can you complain when someone's trying to help you?
I think they'd probably complain about the shoveling, John, if they had the choice. That would really came down to it.
To me, it's like, accept the help that's given and be thankful. We're all in this together. It's not something that one person did,
Yeah, I mean, it affected hundreds of thousands of people, without power. And I know that they brought out, 5,000, workers to try to repair the electrical grid and get it back online as soon as they could. I mean, that's, and they're basically working, 24 hours a day shifts to try to get the power, up and running and back restored to people. So I think people definitely could have been more thankful in that situation instead of being so, why is it taking so long? Why is this? It's like, well, it's, was difficult.
I know the truck that fixed my power had I can't remember if it was Montana or Wyoming, but it was not Oregon plates on the vehicle that was working right outside my house. They brought in 5,000 more people from other states to try and help us. So that was cool to see.
No, it was definitely cool that they brought in out-of-state resources and stuff. So that was, definitely a big thing. Well, I think, is there anything else you guys want to talk about on this particular subject? So I think we're going to start wrapping it up. We're hit our 45-minute mark.
Well, it'd be good to have a commercial for 5 seconds.
Oh, yeah, all right. Let me. I can pull up a commercial real quick if you want a commercial. That's not a problem. Let's do that real quick.
I'll be back.
Aren't you amazed at how many trees got knocked over and broken apart?
I don't even know. There had been thousands of trees. So.
About access or lack of proper accessible curb cutouts? Call or text our complaint line today at 505-695-CURB. Operators are not standing by, but we will air the complaints weekly after each podcast. Thanks for helping us raise awareness to lack of or access to proper curb cutouts.
All right. and we're back from the commercial. So that's our ad for curb cutout complaint line. So if you guys have any curb cuts out in your area that are not good, destroyed, whatever it is, tag us on Instagram at the curb cutouts, and also message us. And we want to know about it. Leave us a voicemail, and we'll make sure we air it at the end of all of our shows. So please make sure you guys do that.
Well, Ryan, I have some concern, about neighborhood, watch. Your neighborhood, they know you are in a wheelchair. Nobody come and check on you and see how you feel, how you want, what you want. This bonding, with the neighborhoods, that is missing. I don't know if we revive that, make sure the neighbors, have good relationship with the neighbors.
I mean,
people,
yes or no, but I mean, I don't necessarily reach out to him and talk to him. I think it's something he could definitely do a better job of. That's for sure. Because definitely not as, it definitely could have been a little bit better of a situation on that front. Because what if family wasn't available? I would have been a little bit more SOL for sure. So I think it's definitely something to take advantage of. That I do live in a neighborhood setting to get to know the neighbors in case of emergency. That would definitely be a good idea for sure. But no, nobody checked on me or anything though.
I don't think that's just a disability problem. I think that's a society problem.
Yeah.
Everyone's so concerned about.
No. I wish my cute neighbor would come and check on me. No.
Right? There's always that.
Good priorities, Wally. Good priorities.
Good, thanks. You need to get warmer in winter.
Well, I think we're in the wrong state for that. Not that it gets too cold here, but I don't think we're going to get those super warm temperatures you're talking about.
So maybe do you guys have two manual wheelchairs charged for you, or maybe two powered chairs? You have more than option to have. Is that one option to have two electric wheelchairs, one charged already and stored in case of emergency?
Yes and no. That's totally a possibility. The biggest problem with that is maintaining the batteries. So it's totally something that's doable, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to hold on to my old wheelchairs and be able to have as an extra. But it's not something that would be necessarily charged and ready to go in order to be able to use.
And that's not something that the state provides. That's us babying our old ones to get them by as loaner. I mean, they don't give
exactly
your chair. So, I mean, like me, I can be pushed in a manual chair. So I have 2 or 3 manual chairs that I use when I fly on the airplane and whatnot. So if that was the case, I mean, I would be super uncomfortable, but it'd be better than laying flat on my back.
So what's other chairs gonna do when the electricity is down?
So it wouldn't be helpful. I mean, electricity's down, the batteries wouldn't be probably maintained. An extra chair wouldn't really be that helpful, I don't think, in that situation. I think the main thing would be some sort of way to charge it, whether it be a battery bank, power inverter, something you can plug into your cigarette lighter in your car that can then plug the charger into. I mean, something of that kind of situation, I think, would really be the quick fix for, a wheelchair being without power for, days kind of situation. But not everyone has access to a car, so that's not a fix-all.
So the best option may be to know that the storm is coming and prepare very well for it. I don't know what kind of tools. I think you should have a prepare kit emergency, and we should maybe make a recommendation what people should keep at their place in case of things happens again.
We should put a list together of things that we want to get for ourselves. That'd be kind of neat to see the different things that people are missing or that they would like to get to be more prepared.
No, I definitely agree with you. Yeah, I think it's something that we need to have a list together of things that we need to make sure we have, so that way we're completely prepared for next time, so we don't end up, getting our caught off guard.
I mean, being on the West Coast my whole life, I've never really dealt with natural disasters. I know in the Midwest and back east, they have their emergency kits and bunkers. But out here in the West, we don't usually, that's not usually a thing.
So something like what about cold and pain? Does people experience those who have arthritis, I believe, or their knee or elbows? Do they experience more pain during the cold when there's no electricity?
Mm-hmm.
Franklin, you want to say something on that one?
Franklin? Yeah, I know for me, I have metal in my hip, so it goes through phases where it'll be really bad. I think it's really good to get. So I just try to stay under as many blankets as I can. I mean, I go to bed super early to just try and get warm. So there's ways to defeat it. But yes, the metal inside your body and all your joints, arthritis, I mean, that gets way worse when it's cold. And to focus for me on emergency tasks when it's cold with the cerebral palsy, if there's any, extra stress or my muscles don't move. So emergency situations for me are kind of scary. Thankfully, I have family that lives with me and can grab a hold and do what needs to be done. So.
Well, I don't know if Franklin's microphone's working or not. He's trying to say something. Franklin, you can interject me anytime if you get your microphone working, if you can hear that. For me, I know that the cold is definitely a big effect. Without power, I wouldn't be able to go for more than a day or two without it in order to even stay warm because my joints and everything are so greatly affected by the cold. Causes a lot of pain that just. Yeah, it would not be. It would not be good enough to even with like heated blankets, stuff like that. Obviously, those won't work during without electricity. So I don't even know if regular blankets would even keep you warm enough. To be honest with you, I don't know what I would really do for electricity being out for more than 2 days trying to stay warm. I know Franklin definitely had to rely on blankets and a lot of things in order for him to stay warm when his power was out with the limited heat he did have. Is your microphone working at all, Franklin? No, it looks like we're plagued with our technical difficulties we've been having going on all podcast here.
I think so. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Anyway.
Oops. Looks like we having some technical difficulties here again. Okay, well, I think we're going to call. There we go. There we go. Back. All right, go ahead, Franklin. You're not coming through. Nope. Okay. Well, I think we definitely are still having some technical difficulties. So we have Franklin's audio is not working, and one of a couple disconnections. So we'll go ahead and end the stream. This one, our first one. We appreciate everyone viewing our first stream, and we're so sorry for the technical difficulties we're having. We will hopefully work out the bugs and get some of this fixed. This is our first time actually did it live. So we appreciate everyone being understanding with this being our first live stream, and want to thank you all for watching, and we'll be in touch with you guys soon. All right, take care, guys. We'll see you guys soon.